The runway is gone, not damaged. Gone. Craters the size of trucks chew through the asphalt in overlapping circles. Twisted metal from destroyed aircraft litters the taxiways. Fuel burns in black columns that stain the morning sky. Above, 7 enemy fighters circle in lazy figure eights, waiting. They know no one is taking off today. They know the base is defenseless. They are wrong. Captain Robert Callahan stands at the edge of the flight line, looking past the destruction to the highway that runs parallel to the base. Route 9, a straight ribbon of concrete cutting through farmland for 3 miles. No curves, no intersections for the first half mile. Wide enough for 2 lanes of traffic plus shoulders, empty at 0530 hours. His mind is already calculating. Takeoff speed for a P-47 Thunderbolt is 100 mph. Distance required with full combat load is 800 yards under normal conditions. The highway offers maybe 600 yards before the first turn. Normally, that is suicide. Normally, no one would try. The base has 4 operational fighters left, hidden under camouflage netting and revetments on the far side of the field. The enemy does not know. They survived the night bombing. They think everything is destroyed. They think the dawn patrol is a victory lap. Callahan watches them through binoculars, Messerschmitt Bf-109s, flying in a standard combat spread, high cover at 8,000 feet, low patrol at 3,000 feet. They are hunting for movement, for any sign of resistance. They are not watching the highway. Colonel Drummond approaches from the operations tent. His face is gray with exhaustion and smoke. He has been awake for 36 hours coordinating evacuation and damage control. He follows Callahan's gaze to the highway. He does not ask what Callahan is thinking. He already knows. He has seen that expression before, the look of a man solving an equation no one else has written. Drummond speaks quietly. The regulation answer is no. The practical answer is, we have nothing left to lose. The honest answer is, I wish I had thought of it first. Sergeant Dutton is already moving. He is the crew chief, a mechanic who understands weight and balance the way priests understand Scripture. He is running fuel calculations on a notepad. If they strip out the auxiliary tanks and carry only 200 rounds per gun, instead of 400, they can reduce takeoff weight by 600 pounds. That buys another 50 yards of distance. Still not enough. Callahan tells him to pull the armor plating behind the seat. Another 200 pounds. Dutton stares at him. Without armor, a single hit to the fuselage could be fatal. Callahan nods. He knows. The math still does not work. They need 800 yards. They have 600. Unless. Callahan turns to Drummond. He asks for 10 minutes. He asks for a fuel truck and 4 ground crew. He asks for permission to taxi 1 aircraft onto Route 9. Drummond looks at the burning runway. He looks at the circling fighters. He looks at Callahan. Permission granted. Callahan walks toward the revetment. Behind him, the enemy fighters continue their patrol. They do not see the P-47 starting to move. The physics are brutal and unforgiving. A P-47 Thunderbolt weighs 17,500 pounds, fully loaded. Its Pratt & Whitney R2800 engine produces 2,000 horsepower, enough to pull the aircraft to 100 mph in approximately 15 seconds under ideal conditions. Ideal means a smooth, level runway with no obstacles and a headwind. Route 9 offers none of these advantages. The asphalt is designed for civilian trucks, not combat aircraft. The surface is rougher. The wheels will encounter more resistance. Every imperfection costs speed. Every second of additional roll consumes yards they do not have. Standard doctrine requires 800 yards of runway for a combat takeoff. This number is not arbitrary. It is derived from thousands of test flights, countless calculations, and the hard lessons of pilots who miscalculated and died. The manual is written in blood. It accounts for engine performance, air density, weight, distribution, and a safety margin for human error. That margin is what keeps pilots alive. Removing it is not bravery. It is mathematics approaching the edge of catastrophe. The highway stretches straight for 2,200 feet before curving east toward the village of Mendelssohn. That is 733 yards. On paper, it is possible, barely. But paper does not account for the drainage ditch on the south side, the telephone poles every 200 feet, or the farmer's stone wall at the curve. Any deviation, any loss of control, any moment of hesitation, and the aircraft becomes a fireball. The margin for error is zero. Callahan has run these calculations a dozen times in the past hour. He has factored in wind speed, temperature, barometric pressure. He has estimated the coefficient of friction for asphalt versus concrete. He has accounted for the weight reduction from stripped armor and reduced ammunition. The numbers converge on a single conclusion: it might work. Might is not a word that inspires confidence, but it is the only word available. The enemy does not consider highways as tactical assets. Their intelligence briefs focus on runways, hangars, fuel depots. They bomb what they can see. What doctrine tells them matters. A highway is civilian infrastructure. It is ignored. This oversight is about to cost them. Drummond stands beside the operations tent, watching ground crew push the P-47 out of its revetment. The aircraft is painted in standard olive drab with white invasion stripes. The engine cowling is scorched from previous missions. The tail number is barely visible under layers of exhaust stain. It does not look like a weapon. It looks like a machine held together by maintenance and prayer. Dutton supervises the removal of the seat armor. 2 crew members unbolt the plating and carry it away. The aircraft sits lighter on its landing gear. Every pound matters. Callahan climbs into the cockpit. The seat feels exposed without the armor backing. He can feel the thin metal of the fuselage behind him. 1 round through the tail section, and he is gone. Robert Callahan was born in 1919 in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. His father worked for the Pennsylvania Railroad as a civil engineer. His mother taught mathematics at the local high school. The house smelled of blueprint paper and chalk dust. Dinner conversations revolved around load calculations and structural stress. Robert learned early that numbers did not lie. People did. Numbers told the truth even when the truth was inconvenient. He attended Harrisburg Technical High School, not because his family lacked money for private school, but because he wanted to work with his hands. He joined the machining program. He learned to read calipers and micrometers. He built a crystal radio set from scraps. Teachers described him as focused. Classmates described him as distant. He did not attend dances or football games. He spent weekends at the rail yard with his father, watching locomotives and calculating tractive effort. He enrolled at Penn State in 1937 to study mechanical engineering. He joined the ROTC program not out of patriotism, but practicality. The scholarship covered tuition. He graduated in 1941 with honors and a commission as a second lieutenant. The Army assigned him to the Air Corps. He wanted to design aircraft. They needed pilots. He did not argue. He reported to flight training at Randolph Field in Texas. Flight school revealed something unexpected. Callahan was not a natural pilot. He overthought maneuvers. He hesitated in simulations. Instructors noted his technical knowledge was exceptional, but his instincts were slow. He passed, but not impressively. He was assigned to fighters because the Army needed bodies in cockpits. The war was expanding faster than training programs could supply personnel. He flew P-40 Warhawks in North Africa, then P-47 Thunderbolts in Europe. He was competent. He followed procedures. He survived missions that killed more aggressive pilots. Squadron mates respected his thoroughness, but did not invite him to poker games. He did not drink heavily or chase nurses. He spent off-duty hours reading technical manuals and maintenance logs. He annotated them with notes. He sketched modifications in the margins. Most were ignored. Commanders recognized his value but did not promote him quickly. He lacked the charisma required for leadership. He did not inspire men with speeches. He inspired them by bringing them home alive. His survival rate was notable. His methods were unorthodox. He would abort missions if fuel calculations were off. He would refuse combat if the geometry was wrong. Other pilots called him cautious. He called it rational. By 1944, Callahan had flown 89 combat missions. He had 3 confirmed kills. Not impressive compared to aces, but he had never lost a wingman. That statistic mattered more to the men who flew beside him. They trusted his judgment even when they did not understand his reasoning. When the base was bombed and the runway destroyed, they did not question why he was looking at the highway. They simply waited to see what he had calculated. The base is designated Forward Operating Station 14, located 40 miles behind the front lines in occupied France. It is not a permanent installation. It is a collection of tents, fuel trucks, and ammunition dumps arranged around a single asphalt runway. The runway was built in 1938 by the French Air Force, repaired by the Germans in 1941, and liberated by Allied forces in 1944. It has been bombed 7 times in the past 3 months. Each time, engineers fill the craters and resume operations. This time is different. The overnight raid was surgical. The enemy dropped delayed fuses. Bombs exploded at intervals, preventing repair crews from working. By dawn, the runway is unsalvageable. Callahan has been stationed here for 6 weeks. He flies interdiction missions, ground attack sorties, and occasional bomber escort. The work is dangerous and repetitive. Most pilots rotate out after 25 missions. Callahan is on his 89th. He has been extended twice because experienced pilots are scarce. He does not complain. He calculates the odds of each mission and flies accordingly. His methods frustrate commanders. Major Kemp has reprimanded him twice for aborting missions due to fuel concerns. Kemp believes in aggressive action. Callahan believes in coming home. The squadron operates 12 P-47 Thunderbolts. After last night, only 4 remain flyable. The others are shredded by shrapnel or burning in their revetments. Ground crews managed to save the operational aircraft by moving them to camouflaged positions before the bombs hit. The enemy does not know they survived. Intelligence suggests the morning patrol is a reconnaissance sweep to confirm destruction. If the enemy sees no resistance, they will call in bombers to finish the base. The fuel depot, the ammunition stores, the personnel, everything will burn. Drummond has ordered evacuation. Trucks are loading equipment. Non-essential personnel are moving east towards secondary positions. Fighter pilots are supposed to withdraw with them. There is no point staying without a runway. Standard procedure is to abandon the aircraft and regroup. Callahan sees it differently. 4 operational fighters sitting idle while the enemy circles freely. A waste of assets. A waste of opportunity. Lieutenant Voss is Callahan's wingman. He has flown 31 missions, all of them with Callahan. He trusts the captain's judgment even when it seems insane. When Callahan explains the highway plan, Voss listens without interrupting. He asks 3 questions. How much runway do we need? How much do we have? What are the odds? Callahan answers honestly. We need 800 yards. We have 600. The odds are 50-50 if everything goes perfect. Voss nods. He has survived 31 missions by trusting Callahan's math. He is not going to stop now. Captain Harlow and Lieutenant Pierce are the other surviving pilots. They are younger, less experienced. They look to Kemp for guidance. Kemp is arguing with Drummond near the operations tent. He is insisting the highway takeoff is suicide. Drummond is listening, but his eyes keep returning to the circling enemy fighters. 7 aircraft hunting freely, mocking them. The colonel makes his decision. He tells Kemp to stand down. He tells Callahan to proceed. If it works, they engage. If it fails, they evacuate. The P-47 Thunderbolt is not designed for short field operations. It is a heavy fighter built for high-altitude combat and ground attack. Its empty weight is 10,000 pounds. Add fuel, ammunition, and pilot, and the number climbs to 17,500 pounds. The engine is powerful, but not miraculous. Physics governs everything: thrust, drag, lift, weight. The four forces in constant negotiation. Takeoff is the moment when lift exceeds weight and hope exceeds gravity. Callahan has read every technical manual published on the P-47. He has studied British reports on emergency procedures. He has talked to test pilots about minimum takeoff distances. The shortest recorded successful takeoff was 680 yards under ideal conditions with a 15 pr headwind. Route 9 offers 733 yards with no wind. The margin is 53 yards, approximately 160 feet, less than 4 seconds at rotation speed. 4 seconds to decide if the aircraft will fly or cartwheel into a stone wall. The solution requires violating several safety protocols. First, reduce weight to absolute minimum. Dutton has already stripped the armor and cut ammunition to 200 rounds per gun. Callahan orders him to drain fuel to 60% capacity. That gives 40 minutes of flight time instead of 90. Dutton hesitates. 40 minutes is barely enough for combat and return. Callahan does not need 90 minutes. He needs to get airborne. Dutton drains the tanks. Second, maximize engine performance. Callahan will use full throttle from the start. The engine will run hot, risking damage, but damage does not matter if they never leave the ground. He will hold the brakes until the engine reaches maximum RPM, then release. The aircraft will lurch forward with maximum thrust. Every fraction of a second counts. Third, delay rotation to the last possible moment. Normally, pilots rotate at 90 miles per hour to achieve a safe climb angle. Callahan will hold the aircraft on the ground until 100 miles per hour. This reduces the climb angle but increases forward speed. The aircraft will lift with less margin but more momentum. It is a gamble. If the wings do not generate enough lift, the aircraft stays earthbound. If they do, he clears the stone wall by inches. The wind is calm. Temperature is 58 degrees Fahrenheit. Air density is optimal. Barometric pressure is stable. Every variable Callahan can control is in his favor. The variables he cannot control are the ones that kill pilots. A gust of crosswind, a tire blowout, a moment of hesitation on the controls. Dutton finishes the pre-flight check. He reports the aircraft is ready. Callahan climbs into the cockpit. The seat feels wrong without armor. He straps in and begins the engine start sequence. The Pratt & Whitney coughs, sputters, and roars to life. The propeller blurs into invisibility. Vibration rattles through the fuselage. Callahan scans the instruments. Oil pressure is good. Fuel flow is steady. Magnetos are firing cleanly. He taxis slowly toward the access road that connects the base to Route 9. Above, the enemy fighters continue their patrol. They do not notice the single aircraft moving below. The P-47 moves onto Route 9 at 0547 hours. Callahan aligns the aircraft with the center line. The highway stretches ahead, gray and empty in the early light. No traffic, no obstacles, just asphalt and the distant curve. He sets the brakes and advances the throttle. The engine climbs to full power. The aircraft shudders, straining against the brakes. Exhaust blast kicks up dust and debris behind the tail. Instruments show maximum RPM. Oil temperature is rising. He cannot hold this position long. Callahan releases the brakes. The P-47 leaps forward. Acceleration is violent. The rough asphalt creates vibrations that blur the instrument panel. He keeps his eyes on the airspeed indicator. 50 mph, 60, 70. The telephone poles flash past. The curve is approaching. 80 mph, 90. The stone wall is visible now, a gray line across the end of his improvised runway. 95 mph. He feels the control stick begin to lighten. The wings are generating lift. Not enough. Not yet. 100 mph. He pulls back gently. The nose lifts. The main wheels stay on the ground. He is in ground effect now, that invisible cushion of compressed air between the wings and the earth. The aircraft wants to fly, but not enough to leave the surface. 105 mph. The stone wall is 200 feet ahead. He pulls harder. The wheels leave the asphalt. The aircraft is airborne, but barely climbing. 10 feet, 15. The wall passes underneath with no room to spare. He retracts the landing gear. The wheels fold into the wings. Drag decreases. Climb rate improves. 20 feet, 30, 40. He banks gently to the north, away from the base, staying low to avoid detection. The enemy fighters are at 3,000 feet and above. They are not looking down. They are scanning the horizon for aircraft at their altitude. Callahan stays at 200 feet, hidden in ground clutter. He checks fuel. 38 minutes remaining. Voss is next. His P-47 taxis onto the highway. He follows the same procedure. Full throttle. Brakes hold. Release. The aircraft accelerates down Route 9. Callahan circles at low altitude, watching. Voss rotates at 102 mph. His takeoff is cleaner, smoother. He learned from watching Callahan's attempt. He joins up on Callahan's wing. 2 aircraft now. Harlow follows. His takeoff is rough. He rotates early at 95 mph. The aircraft mushes into the air, barely climbing. He clears the wall by less than 5 feet, but he clears it. He joins the formation. 3 aircraft. Pierce is, last. His engine note sounds wrong during the roll. Callahan hears it over the radio. A slight misfire. Pierce continues. He rotates at 100 mph. The aircraft lifts cleanly. The misfire clears. 4 P-47s are now airborne, circling low, invisible to the enemy above. Callahan checks his watch. 0553 hours. The enemy patrol is predictable. They fly a circuit that takes 12 minutes. At the end of each circuit, they descend to 1,000 feet to inspect the base. That is when they are vulnerable. Callahan begins climbing, slowly. He needs altitude but cannot alert them. He reaches 1,500 feet and levels off. He is below them but positioned. He waits. The enemy formation completes its circuit at 0604 hours. 7 Messerschmitt Bf-109s begin their descent toward the base. They are confident. They are careless. They expect to see smoke and wreckage and nothing else. The lead aircraft drops to 2,000 feet. The others follow in a loose trail formation. They are not maintaining combat spacing. They are sightseeing. Callahan watches them descend. He is 500 feet below them, invisible against the dark ground. He waits until they pass overhead. Then he climbs, full throttle. The P-47 accelerates upward in a nearly vertical climb. Voss follows on his wing. Harlow and Pierce climb on the opposite side, 4 aircraft rising from below like missiles. The enemy does not see them. They are focused on the base, counting craters, confirming destruction. Callahan closes to 100 yards, 300, 200. He is directly beneath the trailing Messerschmitt. The enemy pilot is still looking down. Callahan pulls lead and fires. Tracers converge on the fuselage. Pieces fly off. Smoke pours from the engine. The Messerschmitt rolls inverted and falls. The formation scatters. Radios erupt with German voices. Confusion, panic. Where did they come from? How are they airborne? The element of surprise is total. Voss locks onto a second target. He fires a long burst. The Messerschmitt's canopy shatters. The aircraft snap rolls and dives, trailing fuel. 2 down in the first 10 seconds. Callahan is already reversing. He pulls hard, bleeding speed, rolling inverted to track another target. The enemy is trying to climb. They are attempting to regain the altitude advantage. But they are scattered and disorganized. Callahan fires again. Short burst. Deflection shot. The rounds miss. He adjusts and fires again. This time he connects. The Messerschmitt's tail section disintegrates. The aircraft tumbles. 3 down. Harlow and Pierce engage the remaining 4. Pierce damages one badly. Coolant streams from the engine. The pilot breaks off and runs east. Harlow chases another but cannot close the distance. The Messerschmitt has speed. Harlow breaks pursuit and returns to formation. 4 enemy aircraft remain. They are climbing hard now, trying to escape. They are no longer hunting. They are running. Callahan does not pursue. He has 22 minutes of fuel remaining. He cannot afford such a prolonged chase. He reforms the flight and turns back toward the base. Below, ground crews are watching. They saw the entire engagement. 7 enemy fighters surprised from below. 3 confirmed destroyed. 1 damaged and fleeing. 3 escaped but rattled. The mission is a success beyond any reasonable expectation. Callahan checks his fuel. 20 minutes. He needs to land. The highway is still available, but landing is riskier than takeoff. He will need to touch down at high speed and brake hard. The asphalt is rough. The distance is marginal. He lines up on Route 9 and begins his descent. He extends landing gear at 500 feet. Airspeed is 140 mph, too fast. He throttles back and drops flaps. The aircraft slows to 120 mph, still too fast but acceptable. He crosses the threshold at 110 mph. The wheels touch asphalt. He brakes hard. The aircraft decelerates violently. He stops with 80 feet remaining before the curve. He taxis off the highway onto the shoulder and shuts down the engine. Silence. Voss lands next. His approach is smoother. He learned from Callahan's attempt. He stops with 100 feet to spare. Harlow follows. His landing is harder. He bounces once but recovers. Pierce is last. He touches down fast and brakes late. He runs off the pavement onto the shoulder but avoids the ditch. 4 aircraft down safely. 0 losses. 3 enemy kills confirmed. 1 damaged. The mathematics have worked. Drummond arrives in a jeep before the engines cool. He climbs out and walks to Callahan's aircraft. He does not speak immediately. He stares at the P-47, at the highway, at the distant base with its ruined runway. Then he asks how Callahan knew it would work. Callahan tells him he did not know. He calculated the probability and decided 50-50 was acceptable. Drummond shakes his head. He has been a military officer for 23 years. He has never seen anyone take off from a highway. He has never seen anyone ambush enemy fighters from below. He asks if Callahan can do it again. Callahan runs the numbers: fuel consumption, ammunition remaining, tire wear on the landing gear, engine stress from the vertical climb. He estimates they can manage 2 more sorties before maintenance is required. Drummond orders ground crews to refuel and rearm immediately. Intelligence reports indicate enemy bombers are en route. They will arrive within 90 minutes to finish destroying the base. If Callahan's flight can intercept them, the base survives. If not, evacuation continues. Dutton supervises refueling. He checks tire pressure and inspects the landing gear for damage. Everything looks acceptable. The aircraft are battered but functional. He reloads ammunition and tops off fuel tanks. This time, he fills them to 80% capacity. Callahan will need more flight time to intercept bombers. The added weight increases takeoff distance. Dutton calculates they will need an additional 40 yards. Route 9 does not have 40 extra yards. Callahan tells him to fill the tanks anyway. They will. Rotate at 105 mph instead of 100. The margin shrinks, but the mission requires it. Major Kemp approaches. He has been silent since the first engagement. He apologizes to Callahan. He admits he was wrong. The highway takeoff was not suicide. It was innovation. Callahan accepts the apology without comment. He is already thinking about the bomber intercept. Bombers fly slower than fighters. They are easier targets but heavily armed. Approaching them requires different tactics. He briefs Voss, Harlow, and Pierce. They will climb to 10,000 feet and intercept from above. Standard doctrine, no surprises this time. The second takeoff happens at 06:47 hours. All 4 aircraft use the highway again. The procedure is now familiar. Full throttle, maximum RPM, release brakes, accelerate to 105 mph, rotate, climb. They are airborne in sequence with no complications. Callahan leads them east toward the reported bomber formation. Intelligence estimates 12 junkers, Ju-88 bombers escorted by 6 fighters. 16 targets, 4 defenders. The mathematics are worse than the morning engagement, but mathematics do not account for surprise, position, or determination. Callahan climbs to intercept altitude and waits. The bombers appear at 07:12 hours. 12 junkers Ju-88s in a staggered formation at 8,000 feet, 6 Messerschmitt escorts above them at 10,000 feet. Callahan is at 12,000 feet with the sun behind him. He has altitude. He has position. He has surprise. The escort fighters are scanning ahead and below. They are not looking up. Doctrine says threats come from the same altitude or below. Doctrine is about to be wrong again. Callahan dives. Voss, Harlow, and Pierce follow. They drop from 12,000 feet at full throttle. Airspeed builds rapidly, 200 mph, 300, 400. The closure rate is devastating. Callahan targets the trailing escort fighter. He fires from 300 yards. The burst is short and accurate. The Messerschmitt explodes. He pulls through the debris and targets a bomber. Long burst into the engine nacelle. Fire blooms. The bomber rolls left and falls. The formation erupts in chaos. Bombers break formation. Escort fighters scatter. Radios fill with frantic German commands. The Americans are not supposed to be here. The base runway was destroyed. How are they airborne? Where did they come from? No one has answers. Callahan pulls into a climbing turn and engages another escort. Voss destroys a second bomber. Harlow damages a third. Pierce chases a fighter but overshoots. The enemy is disorganized and defensive. The bombers abort. They jettison their loads early over empty farmland and turn back toward Germany. The escort fighters try to cover the retreat. Callahan does not pursue. He has proven his point. The base is defended. The enemy knows it now. He reforms his flight and returns to Route 9. Fuel is critically low. 15 minutes remaining. He lands first. The highway takeoff and landing are becoming routine. Voss lands. Harlow lands. Pierce lands. 4 aircraft. 0 losses. 2 confirmed kills. 3 bombers damaged. Mission successful. Within 6 hours, word spreads through Allied Command. A destroyed air base that continued operations using a highway. A fighter squadron that ambushed enemy formations twice in one day using unconventional tactics. Intelligence officers arrived to document the procedures. Callahan explains the weight calculations, the takeoff speeds, the fuel management. He provides exact numbers. He shows them Route 9 and the distances involved. They take photographs. They write reports. Other squadrons begin experimenting. In Italy, a P-38 squadron uses a coastal road for emergency operations. In the Pacific, a Marine Corsair unit practices highway takeoffs during training. The tactic spreads quietly through combat theaters. It is never official doctrine. It is never written into field manuals. But it becomes known. Pilots talk. Ground crews share techniques. The idea that a highway can substitute for a runway in desperate circumstances becomes accepted knowledge. German intelligence reports document the phenomenon. Captured documents reference American fighters operating from improvised locations. Luftwaffe pilots are warned to expect aircraft from unexpected vectors. The psychological impact is measurable. Enemy formations become more cautious. They expend resources on reconnaissance. They hesitate. And in war, hesitation creates opportunities for the other side. Callahan's highway ambush changes more than one battle. It changes assumptions. Callahan flies 14 more missions from Route 9 before engineers repair the main runway. The highway becomes a backup strip, kept clear of civilian traffic by military police. Other bases adopt similar procedures. By late 1944, emergency highway operations are standard contingency planning. Callahan receives a Distinguished Flying Cross. The citation mentions innovative tactics and exceptional airmanship. It does not mention the specific details. Those remain in classified after-action reports. He completes his tour in March 1945. 112 combat missions, 7 confirmed kills, 0 wingmen lost. He is offered a promotion to major and an assignment training new pilots. He declines. He is tired. He wants to go home. The Army grants his request. He is honorably discharged in June 1945 with the rank of captain. He returns to Pennsylvania and enrolls in graduate school at Penn State. He studies civil engineering with focus on highway design. He graduates in 1947 and joins the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation. He designs highways. He calculates load ratings, drainage patterns, and surface composition. He becomes an expert in rural road construction. Colleagues describe him as meticulous and quiet. He does not discuss the war unless directly asked. When asked, his answers are brief and technical. He mentions the mathematics of takeoff distances. He does not mention the fear or the adrenaline or the smoke. In 1952, he is assigned to design Route 15 through central Pennsylvania. He insists on specific standards, straight sections at least 1,000 yards long, minimal grade changes. Wide shoulders. His supervisors question the requirements. Callahan explains they provide emergency utility. Aircraft could use them if needed. His supervisors approve the design without fully understanding. Route 15 becomes one of the straightest highways in the state. He retires in 1979 after 32 years with the Transportation Department. He has designed or supervised construction of over 400 miles of highway. None are ever used for military aircraft operations. But all meet the standards he established that morning in 1944, when he calculated whether 600 yards of asphalt could substitute for a runway. He moves to a small house outside Harrisburg. He tends a garden. He reads engineering journals. He corresponds with former squadron mates. Voss writes annually. Harlow visits twice. Pierce sends Christmas cards. In 1989, an Air Force historian interviews Callahan for an oral history project. The interview lasts 3 hours. Callahan provides exact numbers, specific dates, technical details. He describes the weight calculations and fuel consumption rates. He explains the physics of ground effect and rotation speeds. The historian asks if he was scared. Callahan pauses. He says fear is irrelevant. The mathematics either work or they do not. The historian asks if he considers himself a hero. Callahan says no. He solved a problem, that is engineering. He dies in 1996 at age 77. His obituary mentions his career with the Transportation Department. It mentions his military service. It does not mention Route 9 or the highway ambush. Most readers do not know what he contributed, but in Air Force training doctrine, emergency field procedures include highway operations. Instructors teach the principles without naming the origin. And on Route 15 in Pennsylvania, straight sections of asphalt stretch for over 1,000 yards, unmarked, unremarkable, ready.